The Millionaire's twins refused to eat until the new nanny told them a secret. Michael Thompson watched with growing despair at the untouched plates on the mahogany table in his Beverly Hills mansion. Emma and Ethan, his 7-year-old twins, remained seated on the beige leather sofa, staring at the floor with empty expressions, refusing any food for 3 straight days. That's when the new nanny approached the children and whispered something no one else could hear. Emma looked up for the first time in days, and Ethan turned his face toward the plain-looking woman who had just arrived at the house. Slowly, as if it were the hardest thing in the world, the two picked up their forks and took small bites. Michael felt a relief he hadn't known in weeks. Ever since Jennifer, his wife, had left on a business trip 15 days ago, the twins had spiraled into sadness, culminating in this silent hunger strike. He had already hired 6 different nannies, all dismissed on the first day for failing to get the children to eat even a spoonful of soup. The woman who had achieved the impossible was named Sarah Wilson, 32 years old, and came recommended by a specialized agency. Unlike the others, she didn't arrive with expensive toys or extravagant promises. She simply sat beside the children and began speaking softly. What Michael didn't know was the secret Sarah had shared with Emma and Ethan. She had whispered, "I stopped eating too when my mother left. I thought if I got really skinny, she'd come back faster to take care of me." The words struck deep in the twins' hearts because they expressed exactly what they felt. Their mother's absence had created a void they were trying to fill by refusing food, clinging to a child's logic that their suffering might bring Jennifer back. That night, while Michael worked in his office, Sarah helped the children get ready for bed. During their toothbrushing routine, Emma quietly asked if the nanny's mother had returned. "She did come back, sweetheart. It took a little while, but she did," Sarah replied, brushing the girl's hair. "And do you know why she came back sooner?" "Why?" both asked in unison. "Because I started eating again. She was so happy when she saw I was taking care of myself." Ethan, always more direct than his sister, asked, "But what if our mom never comes back?" The question caught Sarah off guard. She sensed there was something deeper behind Jennifer's absence, but she didn't yet know what. "Mothers always come back to the children they love," she said gently. "Sometimes they need to handle important things, but the love never goes away." In the following days, Sarah observed the household routine closely. Mrs. Parker, the housekeeper who had worked there for 8 years, always seemed tense whenever the mistress was mentioned. The gardener, old George, averted his eyes when the children asked about their mother's whereabouts. Sarah realized everyone in the house knew something being kept from the twins. The heavy atmosphere hanging over the mansion wasn't just due to Jennifer's absence, but to secrets the adults were reluctant to share. One rainy afternoon, while helping Emma with her homework, the girl drew a disturbing picture. It was their house, but with a female figure being carried away by dark clouds. On the paper, blue tears streamed from the windows as if the house itself were crying. "This drawing is beautiful, Emma. Can you tell me about it?" Sarah asked gently. "It's Mommy leaving. She was really sad before her trip. She cried in the bathroom, but I heard her," the girl revealed, coloring the clouds black. Ethan, who was playing with his toy cars on the floor, added without looking up, "Daddy cried too, but he cried from anger, not sadness." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. This revelation made Sarah realize the situation was more complicated than she'd thought. That night, after the children had gone to sleep, she found Mrs. Parker in the kitchen sipping tea with a worried expression. "Mrs. Parker, may I sit with you for a bit?" Sarah asked. "I need to understand the situation better so I can help the children." The housekeeper took a deep breath before answering. "Dear, this house was once very happy. Mr. Thompson and Mrs. Jennifer loved each other deeply, and the children were everyone's joy here. What happened? He started working too much. Business trips, late meetings, weekends at the office. Mrs. Jennifer began feeling lonelier and lonelier. She tried talking to him several times, but he always said he was doing it all for the kids, for the family's future." Mrs. Parker stirred her tea nervously before continuing. The last straw was when she found out he was hiding things from her. Not other women, no, it was worse. He was making big plans without telling her, making decisions about their lives all by himself. What kind of decisions? He bought a company in Boston without warning, said he was moving the whole family there, but Mrs. Jennifer only found out when the paperwork arrived in the mail. She lost it, said she wasn't some doll to be moved around whenever he pleased. Sarah began piecing the puzzle together. Jennifer's trip wasn't just for work. It was an escape from an unbearable marriage. Do the children know about this? They know their parents fought a lot. In the month before Mrs. Jennifer left, the arguments were almost daily. The boys would hide in their room, but the house is big and sound carries. The next day, Sarah decided to broach the subject with Michael. He was in his office, surrounded by papers, with deep bags under his eyes betraying sleepless nights. "Mr. Thompson, I need to talk to you about the children," she said, knocking on the slightly open door. Come in, come in. How are they? Are they eating properly?" "They are, but I'm worried about their emotional state. They ask a lot of questions about their mother." Michael sighed and took off his glasses, rubbing his temples. "I don't know what to tell them anymore, Sarah. Jennifer said she'd be gone 2 weeks, but it's been 15 days now, and she barely answers the phone. Have you tried explaining to them that sometimes adults need space?" "How can I explain something I don't even understand myself?" His voice sounded weary. "Jennifer just said she needed time to think, packed 2 suitcases, and left. She left a note saying she'd be in touch, but her calls are always brief and evasive." Sarah noticed a stack of papers on the desk that looked like they were from a law firm. Michael caught her glance and quickly flipped the documents face down. "Just work papers," he said, but his tone wasn't convincing. That afternoon, while the children were napping, Sarah found Emma awake, staring out the bedroom window. "What are you looking at, sweetheart?" "I'm waiting for Mommy's car. She always came home at 3 when she finished work." Sarah sat on the bed beside the little girl. "What if she's taking longer this time?" "Ethan thinks she's not coming back. He heard Daddy say on the phone that it might be better if she stayed away." Sarah's heart ached. The children were picking up fragments of adult conversations and building a narrative of abandonment that explained the hunger strike. "Emma, you know sometimes adults say things when they're very worried, but they don't really mean it like that. Do you think Daddy didn't want Mommy to leave? I think all daddies and mummies want their families to stay together. Sometimes they just need to work through problems first." That night, Sarah decided to investigate further. After everyone had gone to bed, she went down to the kitchen to get a glass of water and heard Michael's voice on the phone in the office. The door was slightly ajar and she couldn't help but listen. "Attorney Davis, I know she has the right to see the kids, but it can't be like this out of nowhere. They're going through a hard time. She can't just show up and disappear whenever she wants." There was a long pause before Michael continued. "I'm not stopping anything. I just want it to be organized, so it doesn't confuse the kids even more." "What do you mean she wants to come back? Since when?" Sarah realized there were more layers to this situation than she had imagined. Jennifer wanted to come back, but something was preventing it from happening naturally. The next morning at breakfast, Emma asked a question that caught Michael off guard. "Daddy, why can't you and Mommy talk anymore?" Michael nearly choked on his coffee. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" "Before, you used to talk about everything. About work, about us, about the places we'd travel to. Now you just fight or stay silent." Ethan added, "It's like you're 2 different people, the mommy who plays with us and the mommy who gets sad around Daddy." Michael looked at Sarah, who gave him a subtle nod of support. It was time to start being honest with the children. "You 2 are very smart," he said, pulling their chairs closer. "Sometimes grown-ups go through hard times. That doesn't mean we stop loving each other or loving you." "But why did Mommy leave without saying goodbye properly?" Emma asked. She was very sad and confused. When someone feels that way, sometimes they need a little time alone to sort things out. Ethan, ever practical, asked, "And when is she coming back?" "We're talking about it. But one thing I can promise. Mommy loves you more than anything in the world. That love will never change no matter where she is." After breakfast, the children went to play in the yard, and Michael pulled Sarah aside for a private talk. "Thank you for helping me with that conversation. I don't know how to handle this alone. Mr. Thompson, may I ask you a personal question?" Of course. Do you still love your wife? The question caught him off guard. He was silent for a long moment before answering. I think so, but sometimes love isn't enough. We grew so far apart I don't even know how to find our way back. And her? Do you think she still loves you? I don't know anything about what Jennifer feels anymore. The last few months, every conversation turned into an argument. I thought giving each other space would help, but now I see it was a mistake. Sarah realized Michael wasn't the villain of the story, just a lost man who didn't know how to reconnect with the family he loved. That afternoon, while helping the children with their homework, Sarah got an unexpected call. It was from an unknown number. Hello? Sarah? My name is Jennifer Thompson. I'm Emma and Ethan's mother. Sarah's heart raced. Mrs. Thompson, how did you get my number? The agency gave it to me. I wanted to know how my children are doing. I heard they stopped eating. They're doing better now, Mom. They've started eating again, but they miss you terribly. Can I see them? Jennifer's voice was shaky. You'll need to talk to Mr. Thompson about that. I tried. He says the children shouldn't be disturbed, that it's better to wait until I decide what I'm going to do with my life. But I've already decided, Sarah. I want to go back home. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. Sarah found herself in the middle of a delicate situation. On one hand, she felt the pain of a desperate mother longing to see her children. On the other, she was Michael's employee and couldn't make decisions that weren't hers. Mrs. Jennifer, why don't you try having a longer conversation with Mr. Michael? Maybe if you explained your feelings better. He doesn't want to listen to me, Sarah. Every time I call, he says I'm being dramatic, that I need to grow up and think about the consequences of my actions. And have you? Thought about the consequences, I mean. Of course I have. Spending 2 weeks away from my children was the hardest thing I've ever done. But I needed to be sure that if I went back, it would be to rebuild our family, not to keep living like strangers in the same house. Jennifer paused before continuing. Sarah, I know you must think I'm an irresponsible mother for leaving like that, but I was suffocating. Michael made all the decisions alone, treated me like a child who doesn't understand business or adult life. Can you give me an example? He bought a company in Boston without consulting me, said we were moving there because it would be better for business. When I questioned him, he said I was being too dramatic, that I didn't understand the opportunities he was creating for our family. Sarah began to grasp the complexity of the situation. It wasn't just a simple case of a couple fighting, but two people who had stopped communicating effectively. And now you want to go back? I want to try again. But I want it to be different this time. I want Michael to see me as a partner, not just someone who takes care of the kids while he handles the business. After the call, Sarah grew thoughtful. She knew she couldn't interfere directly in her employer's marriage, but she also couldn't ignore the children's suffering, which mirrored their parents' pain. That night, after putting the twins to bed, she found Michael in the living room, looking at old family photos on his phone. Mr. Michael, can I say something? Of course, have a seat. The children asked today if Mrs. Jennifer doesn't love them anymore. Michael lowered his phone and looked at her carefully. What did you say? That a mother's love is forever, but sometimes people need to work things out before they can be together again. And did they understand? Emma asked if you and Mrs. Jennifer will be able to solve your problems. Michael sighed. What do you think, Sarah? Do you have children? I don't, sir. But I had parents who separated when I was little, and I can say the worst part wasn't the separation itself, but the time they spent fighting while pretending everything was fine. Jennifer and I aren't pretending everything's fine. It's clear it's not. But you're pretending you don't love each other anymore, when really you're just afraid to try again and get hurt. Sarah's observation hit home. Michael fell silent for a long moment. She called you today, didn't she? He asked suddenly. Sarah was surprised. How did you know? Because I know my wife. When she wants something, she goes after it, and I know she's desperate to see the kids. Why don't you let her? Because I'm afraid she'll show up, spend a few hours with them, and then disappear again. The kids couldn't handle that a second time. What if she doesn't leave? What if she wants to come back for good? Do you think she wants to come back for good? I think you should ask her that, not me. The next morning, Michael made a decision. He called Jennifer in front of Sarah. Jennifer, it's me. Can we talk? In person, I mean. Okay, today at 2 in the afternoon at the cafe we used to go to. Yes, that one. After hanging up, he looked at Sarah. Can you watch the kids this afternoon? I think it's time for an adult conversation with my wife. Of course, Mr. Thompson, and good luck. When Michael left for the meeting, Sarah decided to have an honest talk with Emma and Ethan. She found them in their room building a house with blocks. What a beautiful house you're making. It's our house, said Emma. But there's a part that's broken, look. The girl pointed to a wall that had collapsed in the middle of the structure. And how are you going to fix it? We'll have to take it all apart and start over, Ethan replied. But this time we'll make it stronger. The metaphor didn't escape Sarah. The children were unconsciously expressing how they felt about the family situation. Do you think it's worth starting over, even if it's hard? It is, they said in unison. It's because we really like this house, Emma explained, and we know how to build it better now. Meanwhile, Michael and Jennifer met at the small, cozy cafe where they'd had their first date 10 years ago. Both were nervous but determined to have an honest conversation. Are you okay? Michael asked, noticing Jennifer had lost weight. No, I'm not. These past 2 weeks have been the worst of my life. I missed you, the kids, our home, everything. Then why did you leave? Because I was suffocating, Michael. For the last 2 years, you started treating me like I was a housekeeper, not your wife. Michael lowered his eyes. I never wanted you to feel that way. But that's how I felt. You made all the decisions alone and then just told me afterward. Moving to Boston was the last straw. I thought it would be good for our family, more opportunities, a better quality of life. But you didn't ask what I thought. You didn't ask if I wanted to leave my friends, my job, the kids' school. You just decided and expected me to agree. Michael sighed deeply. You're right. I got used to making quick decisions in business and ended up bringing that home. It wasn't fair to you. I'm not your employee, Michael. I'm your wife. We're partners, or at least we should be. And can we still be? He asked, looking into her eyes for the first time in months. I want to try. But it has to be different this time. We need to learn to talk again, to make decisions together. The Boston offer. I can cancel it. Or at least we can properly discuss whether it's worth it or not. Jennifer smiled for the first time. You don't have to cancel. You just have to include me in the conversation. Maybe I'll even like the idea, but I want to understand better, be part of the planning. The kids, they've been really struggling. They didn't eat for 3 days. I know, the nanny told me. The nanny. I felt terrible for causing that. We caused it, Jennifer. I'm at fault too. They need to see that we can work through our problems like adults. Back at the house, Sarah was helping the twins make a chocolate cake when she heard the car pull into the garage. Moments later, Michael walked in with Jennifer. The children dropped everything and ran into their mother's arms, who broke into tears as she hugged them tightly. Mommy, you're back, Emma cried, clinging to Jennifer's neck. Are you leaving again? Ethan asked, still uncertain. I'm not, sweetheart. I'll never leave like that again, replied Jennifer, kissing the top of the boy's head. Michael watched the scene with misty eyes. Sarah approached discreetly. How did the talk go? Better than I expected. We still have a lot to work out, but we decided to try again. And the kids? We'll explain to them that adults sometimes make mistakes, but they also know how to apologize and try again. That night, the whole family had dinner together for the first time in weeks. The children ate with more appetite than Sarah had seen since she arrived. The conversation was light, filled with genuine laughter. After dinner, Michael and Jennifer put the twins to bed together, reading them a story about a family of bears who got lost in the woods, but managed to find their way back. The story has a happy ending, murmured Emma, drowsy. The best stories always do, replied Jennifer, stroking her daughter's hair. Even when people get lost in the middle? Asked Ethan. Especially when people get lost in the middle, said Michael, because then they appreciate finding each other even more. Once the children were asleep, the three adults gathered in the living room to talk about the future. "Sarah, we don't know how to thank you," said Jennifer. "You saved our family." "I just helped you remember what you already knew," she replied. "That love is worth more than pride." "Will you stay with us?" asked Michael. "The kids have grown very attached to you." "For now, yes, until you settle into your new routine, but you don't need me anymore to be a family." In the weeks that followed, Sarah watched the gradual rebuilding of that family. It wasn't easy or quick. There were moments of tension, arguments that needed mediation, and tough decisions that had to be made together. The proposal to move to Boston was thoroughly discussed. Jennifer visited the city, saw the company Michael had bought, and spoke with other families who had made similar moves. In the end, they decided to take the challenge, but with a joint plan that included a gradual business transfer and assurances that Jennifer would have her own professional opportunities in the new city. Emma and Ethan, sensing their parents had learned to talk again, returned to being the happy, carefree children they were before the crisis. Their appetites came back fully, and they even started helping with family decisions, giving input on the new house's decor, and choosing the school they wanted to attend. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. 3 months later, on the eve of their move to Boston, the family threw a farewell party. Sarah had decided not to go with them, feeling her mission there was complete. During the party, Michael gave an emotional speech. 6 months ago, this house was silent. We were all lost, each suffering alone. Sarah came here not just as a nanny, but as an angel who taught us that families aren't perfect, but they can be real. She taught us that love isn't just a feeling, but a daily choice to care for each other, Jennifer added. The children had prepared a surprise for Sarah. Emma presented a drawing of the whole family together, with a fifth person representing the nanny. In the drawing, everyone was smiling and holding hands. "You'll always be part of our family," said Ethan, handing the drawing to Sarah. "And when we grow up, we'll visit you," Emma promised. On the morning of their departure, as the moving trucks loaded the furniture, Sarah said goodbye to each of them individually. To Michael, she said, "Remember that being strong as a father doesn't mean making all the decisions alone. Always include your family in important choices." To Jennifer, "Never stop speaking your heart. Silence can hurt more than arguments." To Emma and Ethan, "You've learned that family love is like hunger. When it appears, we take care of it until it passes, but when it's missing, we know something's wrong and needs fixing." The farewell was emotional but not sad. Everyone knew that family had been rebuilt on stronger foundations. 6 months later, Sarah received a letter from Boston. It contained photos of the new house, the kids at their new school, and Michael and Jennifer at a family picnic. In the letter, Jennifer wrote, "Dear Sarah, our life here is wonderful. The kids have adjusted well to their new school and made many friends. Michael and I are working together at the company. He made me a partner, and I've discovered I have a knack for business. Most importantly, we still talk about everything, and when problems arise, we solve them together. The boys mention you every week, saying you were the one who taught our family to eat together again. And I don't just mean the food, but everything that nourishes a family. Affection, conversation, laughter, and even constructive arguments. You'll always have a home here with us." Sarah smiled as she read the letter, tucked the photos into a special box, and prepared for her next mission. The agency had called. A family in Washington needed help with a teenage daughter who had stopped speaking to her parents. As she packed, Sarah reflected on what she'd learned from the Thompsons. Sometimes people stop nourishing themselves, literally or emotionally, not because they've lost their appetite, but because they've lost hope that the relationship is worth nurturing. The secret wasn't just getting the kids to eat, but teaching the whole family to feed again on the love that had always been there, buried under layers of pride, hurt, and miscommunication. 2 years later, Sarah received a wedding invitation. No, Michael and Jennifer weren't remarrying. It was Emma, now 9, who had decided to organize a renewal ceremony for her parents. The invitation, written in the girl's careful handwriting, read, "We invite Godmother Sarah to celebrate our family's love. There'll be chocolate cake, the same one we made the day Mommy came back, and heartfelt speeches. Ethan will sing a song he wrote about families who lose and find each other. You can't miss it." Sarah couldn't attend, but sent a special gift, a family recipe book with a dedication. To Emma and Ethan, love is like a recipe. It needs the right ingredients, enough time, and people willing to make it together. Always cherish this recipe for a happy family, one you helped create. Years later, when Emma was studying psychology and Ethan was pursuing business to help with the family company, they still spoke of Sarah as the person who saved their childhood. But the truth was simpler and more beautiful. Sarah hadn't saved anyone. She'd simply shown a drowning family that they knew how to swim. They'd just forgotten how to do it together. The last update Sarah received from the Thompsons was a photo on Messenger from Jennifer. It was Emma's psychology graduation day. In the photo, the whole family hugged, their smiles genuine and eyes shining with pride. The caption read, "Our family psychologist has graduated. She said she chose this career to help other families the way a special nanny helped ours 10 years ago. Love truly is a cycle that goes on forever." Sarah tucked the photo close to her heart and prepared to continue her mission, reminding families that love is nourishment that never spoils. It just needs to be served with care, patience, and sincerity. And so, the nanny who saved a family by teaching them that true love shows itself not only in grand gestures, but especially in the simple, profound act of sitting together at the table, sharing not just food, but dreams, fears, and the certainty that no matter what happens, there will always be a place saved for each person at the table of the family's heart. The end of the story. Now tell us what you thought of this story of resilience and family love. Have you ever experienced something similar? Or know a family that went through such tough times? Leave a comment sharing your experience, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories.